WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the listening audience. I'm Maurice Selby, and you're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York, the voice of Harlem. And unfortunately, my compadre, Sean Shivers, could not make it tonight. He is a little bit under the weather, so we're going to send out prayers to him tonight, and he will rejoin us next week. So, Sean, giving you a shout out, man. We hope you feel better. But we do have another veteran in the studio tonight, Miss Vanessa Sawyer. She is a registered dietitian and also the senior project manager of Hip Hop Heals. We've had her on numerous times since the inception of this show, actually. So we welcome you back to Health in Harlem.
Thank you for having me.
Always our pleasure. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about ways in which we can improve our nutrition. And I wasn't really aware of this. We were talking before the show, ladies and gentlemen, and Vanessa, it sounds like the field of nutrition or dietetics, I guess, is exploding at this point in terms of the changes that are taking place.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, tonight there are a few things that I'd like to focus on, but, you know, in this current administration, they have proposed numerous laws that would affect, you know, the way the American public chooses the food that they consume. You know, some that people may be aware of, the trans fat ban that Obama has proposed. We also have the menu labeling, so calories being labeled on the menus of chain restaurants. That was added into the Affordable Care Act. Mm-hmm. We've been seeing that here in New York City for a while now, and our program, Hip Hop Heals, focuses on that specifically. But this is something that is now going to be rolling out throughout the country. So that's what's up. Very exciting. But currently, the FDA is, after many years of debate, getting the nutrition facts label revamped. So that's extremely exciting for us.
So the thing is, and why I also agree that this is really, really exciting is, you know, you look around and we see people struggling, you know, being overweight. We see people that are obese, morbidly obese. And I think a lot of times we like to write these people off as, oh, they don't care about their health. And, you know, this person really isn't trying to take care of themselves. And even people that are, you know, so-called normal weight, but they might have some eating habits that could be changed or for the better, let's say. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, people want to make these changes. They want to eat healthy. People want to be active and live an overall healthy lifestyle. But with the way things, and as you said, the nutrition labels or some of the things that are put into our food, they can't make these changes. They can't live a healthy lifestyle. And it's not really their fault. It's just that, you know, things are either maybe mislabeled to a certain extent, or difficult to understand. Mm-hmm. And we are basically misleading people that are really trying to do the right thing, but they're just misled.
Right, absolutely. And that's not necessarily the intention of the labels, but that has in effect been what's been happening, you know, over the last 20 years. You know, we've had this label, you know, and it was very exciting when, you know, in the 90s, it was now required to be on packaged goods. It wasn't before. We had the label, but not until the 90s did it become, ubiquitous on our food labels. But now the changes that they're proposing seem to be a little bit more relevant to how people are eating. So, the way it was labeled before, the way that it's currently labeled, there's a lot of math involved. There's a lot of, terminology. If you don't look things up, you may not necessarily know what they're talking about. Things can be very misleading, and they're not necessarily, that's not necessarily the intention. So they're trying with this new proposal to make things a little bit clearer to people so that they don't have to do all of that complex math. They can just, clearly read what's exactly in that package and then make a choice based on it. And the labeling is going to be more reflective, like I said, of how people are eating today, which is extremely important because the labels, were initially created back in the 60s.
Wow.
And that
so we're using a 50-year-old schematic to label food that we're eating today.
Right,
and
right.
our eating patterns, like you said, have changed over 50 years.
Exactly. Our eating patterns have changed. What we eat has changed. Back then, a lot of people were cooking at home from scratch. They weren't, purchasing a lot of prepared foods, packaged foods, and they were eating at home a lot rather than out. And today we know very well that this is not the way that people are eating. We buy a lot of things. I mean, we honestly, a lot of us don't even know what things looked like from scratch because we've always purchased them in a packaged way. Like our, fruits and vegetables are not necessarily the best example, but, grains certain
exactly.
grain products, a lot of them came in more, in simpler form before, and now it's you're hard pressed to find something like that.
True story.
It's extremely important that now, we're going to start labeling things that are more realistic, and people don't have to do as much guessing or as much figuring out to, make an informed decision.
And I'm looking at the current nutrition facts label versus the new nutrition facts label right now, and two of the things that really stand out to me is before, you mentioned like the serving size. For one thing, it wasn't bolded. So people would see maybe the calories listed on there, but the serving size for each serving in that package of food would be really small sometimes or kind of obscure. Whereas now it's in bold letters, one, and it tells you exactly how many servings per container are in there. Whereas before it was kind of separate. And another thing that stands out to me is the calorie count, ladies and gentlemen, is like big, bold letters to tell you exactly how many calories are in each serving in that container, which is it's pretty big.
Exactly. Yeah. So, they've done some really beautiful things with the design of this that really help the consumer focus in on what we think in public health is the most important portion of the label to focus on. Absolutely, the entire label is important. Everything that's on there, is something that people should be aware of and, consider when they're making choices. But, when we think about the major health issues of the U.S. today, obesity is one of the number one issues. And then all of the related diseases like diabetes, certain cancers, so this is the calories and the servings are critical as far as helping a consumer make a choice when we're talking about, the obesity epidemic. So, the servings are clearly stated now. I mean, they're a lot easier to see, and one thing about the servings as well is that they're now changing what a serving size is in a package. So, for example, and this one's been thrown out there if you read, the press about this is that, the 20-ounce soda, for example, a lot of people buy those. That's what's available in our stores today. But
True story.
They, currently consist of 2.5 servings. So who's going to do the math for 2.5 servings of a soda?
True.
I mean, frankly, who drinks only, portion of the soda.
And
they
puts
drink
it away.
the whole
Yeah.
bottle. Exactly. So now they're changing that 2.5 serving to this bottle is 1 serving. And if you consume the whole thing, these are the amount of calories that you're going to consume in that 1 bottle. So that's extremely important because that's more realistic.
True story.
And it's, it's pretty much like we're shifting from what we used to call portion size. So you've heard that phrase, watch your portion size. So your portion is what you serve yourself. And so now we're changing the label for the serving to really be reflective of a portion, what someone would serve themselves or realistically consume in one sitting. So, extremely helpful when you're thinking about, deciding what you want to consume in one sitting.
Yes, because I don't think we can really change people's behavior. We talked about we talked about this in the past and the controversial nature of Bloomberg's, proposed ban on sugary drinks and sodas and stuff in store, or the size of those things in fast food markets and stuff. And, I agreed with most of his policies when it came to healthcare and improving the health of New Yorkers. But that was a little over the top because I'm like, look, man, you cannot tell businesses what they should be selling. And also what people should be, be buying or what they have access to. But putting nutrition facts there so that people can see exactly how much they're consuming, then that makes more sense. Because I was saying that, look, if they don't get it at the fast food restaurant, they're going to run across the street to the store and buy that 20-ounce soda that you said.
There you go.
And they're going to look at they might look at the nutrition facts and see, okay, there's however many calories in this soda, but to note that it's only 1/3 of that bottle for that calorie count, they might not really look at it like that. Right. But when you have it there up front, like this entire bottle, you're consuming 500 calories, then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Let me slow down, or maybe I could drink half of this and put the other half away for later. Or if it's me and my spouse, we're going out to get something to eat, we can split that bottle of soda as opposed to me and her having 1 bottle each.
There you go. And I think, something we'd been talking earlier about this, something that I think is extremely exciting about changes like this is that there is enormous potential for its impact on the food industry. So our food system at large, when you have consumers that are starting to become more aware of what they're consuming and what's in the food that they're consuming, you start to increase demand for healthier options, better options, and that has a tremendous impact on the food industry. So, there's potential to actually change what food companies are putting in their foods and drinks, how, what the ingredients are, so that they can now say this bottle of soda is less calories, one that, an amount that you may be more willing to consume. So,
got it.
If you can change the food system, we can have a greater impact on the American public, because now, regardless of whether people are reading labels or not, or making choices like that or not, they're going to have a healthier food system, healthier public.
True story.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. We are going to take a break, but remember, you can call us at 212-650-6903 if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about tonight's show. That's 212-650-6903. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
The world-famous Apollo Theater, in partnership with World Music Institute, presents Africa Now on Saturday, April 5th at 8 p.m. Africa Now, hosted by Whcr, featuring performances by Les Frères Guisset, the Sierra Leone Refugee All-Stars, and Fatoumata Diawara. That's Africa Now, Saturday, April 5th at 8 p.m. at the world-famous Apollo Theater. For complete information on this and other Africa Now Festival events, including Family Showtime and Apollo Music Cafe performances, visit www.apollotheater.org. WHCR is doing it again, giving you the opportunity to show your support while having a great time. On Saturday, April 12th from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., WHCR's house DJs come together to bring you a house party like no other. You decide how much you want to pay to party. That's right, you decide your admission. Grab your dancing shoes, your whistle, and your donation, and dance to the sounds of house music by WHCR's DJ Little Tiger of Impulse Travels, DJ Andre Collins of Universal Love of House Music, and DJ Justice of the Flavor Zone. That's Saturday, April 12th, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. at Farafina Cafe and Lounge, located at 1819 Amsterdam Avenue at 150th Street. Remember, your financial support ensures that some of the best music, most informative and educational programs continue to be heard on this station.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome back to Health in Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maurice Selby, and tonight we have with us Ms. Vanessa Sawyer. She is the Senior Project Manager at Hip Hop Heals, which is a part of the Hip Hop Public Health Education Center at Columbia University, and Harlem Hospital. And Harlem Hospital, of course. Okay, go. I gotta throw that in there, man. Oh, my goodness. Right. And tonight we're talking about your nutrition, ladies and gentlemen, how you can improve your nutrition, and also the steps that our government regulatory agencies, the FDA, all of these groups are taking to ensure that you can improve your nutrition. And we talked about at the beginning of the show how the nutrition facts labels, after over 50 years, they've changed to make it easier to read so that you can get the information you need to make the best decision possible about what you're putting into your body. Right. And you said that in the 1960s, the labels were designed, but it wasn't until the 1990s that these labels became mandatory on all packaged food items.
Absolutely. So before that, it was voluntary. So, we made tremendous strides in the 90s and really have not done much since then as far as nutrition fact labeling goes or package labeling goes.
Got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to take advantage of this information now that we have it. We have it at our disposal. Let's use it. Now, also, going back to the labels, one thing that we didn't talk about that's really important is the added sugar has to be posted on these labels as well. So, yes. What's the big deal regarding that?
So, with added sugar, that's essentially manufactured sugar or sugar that's been added to a food that doesn't happen in that food naturally. So, for instance, fruit-based foods or dairy-based foods, they're going to have natural sugars in them that just, come along with milk or with fruit. So anything added on top of that is added sugar, and it's contributing tremendously to our rising rates in obesity. They recommend that you have a very small amount of your discretionary calories from added sugar. So that's discretionary calories, or like the extra calories that you can consume or that you're recommended to consume to maintain your weight and your health, that don't really contribute to specific nutritional requirements.
Got it.
And a lot of Americans are eating way more of their discretionary calories from added sugar, and there's a tremendous health impact as far as that goes. So, added sugars, if you're aware of what's being added to your food, the notion is that consumers will be, a little more cautious when choosing foods that have a lot of added sugar. And again, as we'd mentioned at the end of the previous segment, I think this could have a tremendous impact on, how food companies are making foods. So, maybe scaling back a little bit on the added sugar so they don't have to reveal that on the package.
Yes.
So,
and does that include like high fructose corn syrup as well?
All of that,
As one of
yes.
them? Wow.
Yes. High fructose corn syrup is an added sugar because, they make it high fructose. There is some chemistry involved in creating that kind of sugar. So that absolutely counts as an added sugar.
All right, AKA the devil. That's what, goodness gracious, Dr. Why am I bugging out right now? One of our favorite guests actually mentioned that, and she calls it the devil.
Oh, really?
Yes, high fructose corn syrup. So be on the lookout for that, ladies and gentlemen, because that's something that was not there before. Unless you went down and read the ingredients, you just weren't aware of these added sugars in there.
Right.
I guess that accounted for one of the discrepancies between like people drinking, let's say, diet sodas or diet fruit drinks, and it would say like, oh, 0 sugar added, but yet they have this added manufactured sugar in there as well. So would that be?
So the diet ones, no. I mean, it would have to
okay.
actually count as a real sugar. So the diet ones have these synthetic
sugars.
chemicals that make your brain think that it tastes sweet like sugar.
Got it.
They're not actually sugars, so that would not be included. But that's definitely something to be looking out for as well. Because there's some controversy around those, artificial sweeteners, as we call them. But yeah, I mean, the added sugar is definitely, a real problem in our diet. And a lot of foods that we don't even realize have added sugars have added sugar, like the breads and things, a lot of things that don't taste sweet to us. We have a lot of sugar in those foods in our food system. So, it's just another thing to be aware of. And I think that now that it's going to be on the label, people are going to start looking at that, and maybe, thinking about it when they're choosing the foods that they buy.
And we also have a couple of other nutrients that have been added, or minerals actually, that have been added as requirements to be on the nutrition facts labels. You want to talk about those as well?
Right, sure. So yeah, just briefly, vitamin D and potassium were not required on the label before, and they will now be on this redesign. These are two particular minerals that, vitamin D and then potassium, the mineral that the American public is struggling with a little bit. Vitamin D is extremely important for bone health. It helps with our calcium absorption, and maintaining strong bones. So this is really important. And then also potassium is critical in maintaining a healthy blood pressure. So those they identified as two critical nutrients that were not previously required. You'll see it on some labels, but that's voluntary. So on the new redesign, they will have that on there.
All right. So when are these changes to the labels? When are they actually going to take place? When will we see this in the supermarkets on every food item, packaged food item?
It's going to take a while. Well, for right now, we've got about 90 days for the public to make comment on the redesign. So they typically do that with anything like this, any proposal like this. So they're going to allow for people to make comment, suggestions, and whatnot. And this is anyone from the public to people in the food industry to public health professionals, anyone that might be concerned about this issue. So, if this is something that interests you, you can certainly make a comment over there as well to the FDA. Which
is really important, ladies and gentlemen, because this is how, we think about the people that design this, obviously professionals like yourself, and I think you have the best intentions, obviously, but there's things that stand out to you as a professional that you might tweak it one way and it stands out to other people that are specialists in that field, but to the regular average person with no training in this, then it might not be the thing that stands out to them. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we need you out there, the listening audience, and everybody else to go and comment on this to make it something that is usable and easy to use for everyone, not just the people that designed it. It might stick out to them, but it might not be so obvious to to everyone. So
Right.
your comments can be very useful on this.
Absolutely. So be part of the process. So that's taking place right now, and then it'll take months before any of the changes are finalized, and then and then our government is allowing the companies up to 2 years to actually make
Implement.
the changes.
Got
Exactly.
it.
So this is going to be a costly endeavor. They've estimated it's going to cost about $2 billion for the food industry. So the companies to make these changes to their labels. I mean, there's a lot of background work. Some of them may have to do some analysis on their food, to be able to provide that information, and they're going to have to recreate, the label on their packaging.
Yes.
So, all of that costs money. It's going to be an enormous cost on the industry. However, the exciting thing is that it's been estimated that we could save up to $30 billion in healthcare. So, the impact, the implications of the impact are tremendous. So, it's going to take a while before it actually rolls out, but you're going to see people starting to do it more and more.
Yes.
Like with any, change like this, you're going to start to see some companies are going to do it sooner than others. So, be looking out for the new label.
Yes,
Coming
indeed.
to a store near you.
So, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to work and actually comment on that. And do you have the information on where people can go to actually comment on the labels?
I'm going to look it up in our break, but
Okay,
it's the
that sounds-
FDA. I mean, you can go to the
That's
FDA.
right.
So if you go to the FDA.gov,
Or maybe even just go to a search engine, type
you
in
go.
new nutrition facts label,
there you go.
and you'll probably be able to find it. We're going to try to find it for you so we can give you that information so you can be diligent and go and make these comments. But that's how I would approach it. At least right now, I'm going to do the same thing. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get that information for you. And real quick, we look at the fast food industry, and we have to applaud ourselves here in New York City for some of the changes that took place very recently. One being the displaying of the calorie counts in fast food restaurants. But in terms of actually having something on par, I guess, with nutrition facts labels, what can individuals do? Because we have the calories displayed there, but you might not always know what's going on in terms of what you're putting into your body because
Right.
it's not readily available.
Right. So every fast food and every chain restaurant is required to maintain nutrition information on the food that they sell. So as a consumer, aside from the calorie content, which is required here in New York City to be labeled on the menu, you can ask the restaurants, these chain restaurants, for the nutrition information, and that would be, whether it be the nutrient content or the ingredients.
Yes.
And they have this available. They're required to have it printed out somewhere where they can provide it to the consumer. So, when you go into fast food places, sometimes they'll have the paper that covers the trays. Will have a printout of that information. But if they don't, they have it sometimes available on the little side tables where the condiments are, or you ask them for it. So that's available, and it's extremely important to
Yes.
take charge of your health by being an informed consumer. So if there are things that you're concerned about, and you were telling me a story that I thought was really interesting about the bread.
That's right. At
the
a very
partic-
popular sandwich chain.
There
I
you
won't
go.
mention no names, but
I thought that was fascinating. I had no idea. And so it's really important for us to be empowered and to have the information so that we can make informed choices. Definitely if there's something that would concern you, or you have a particular health issue that you need to be a little bit more discerning about the food that you choose, definitely ask that of the restaurant, because they do have it available.
and it's your right to ask for it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the law. This information is available to you because we don't want you to eat a yoga mat, okay, or anything associated with a yoga mat. But I'm not going to shout out no names right now on air. You're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York, the voice of Harlem. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can call us at 212-650-6903 if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about tonight's show. That's 212-650-6903. We want to answer your questions, and we also want to get you to comment on these new nutrition facts labels that are going up very soon. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We rope it up,
Cause we know how to jump.
we'll roll it out,
Cause we know how to skate.
we'll cut it down,
Cause we know what to eat.
we'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Yeah, well come on.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll ball it up,
Cause we know how to hoop.
we'll mess around,
Cause we know how to play.
we'll drop it down,
Cause we know how to dance.
we'll veg it up.
Veg night and day.
Can we do it?
Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy. Remember, that's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Actually, it is.
Welcome back to Health in Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the greatest health talk show on the planet right now, and we have the one and only Vanessa Sawyer. She is a senior project manager at Hip Hop Heals, which is a part of the Hip Hop Public Health Education Center at Columbia University and Harlem Hospital. And we're talking about how you can improve your nutrition tonight, trying to give you all the information you need to make these changes and make the lasting changes. And we talked extensively about the nutrition facts label, and we want you to go and comment on these new labels that will be rolled out. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the information for you on exactly which site to go to, but remember, you can Google new nutrition facts label, and that should take you to the FDA and the part where you can actually, the part on the site where you can actually make comments on these new labels.
Right.
All right, so definitely look that up. That's the homework for tonight, homework assignment. And back to our conversation now. In terms of talking about improving one's nutrition, we talked about the labels and how this will help us make better and more informed decisions on what we're putting into our bodies. We definitely have to talk about something that is lacking in many people's diet. And we don't want to blame anyone. It's not necessarily your fault, but it's, again, misconceptions and some of the labeling issues out there that could lead you the wrong way. But when we talk about fiber, this is something that we're not getting enough of as Americans as well, correct?
Right. And we've been talking about this for a while now.
Yes.
And it is something that they are looking at on the label. They're considering tweaking how that's labeled as well. It hasn't been decided exactly how that's going to change, but they are definitely looking at fiber because it is an extremely important issue in the American diet. A lot of us are not getting enough of it. And fiber is extremely important for many, many reasons. We were talking about about obesity, and fiber is actually really important when we're talking about controlling our weight. It helps us feel full. It helps move the food through our system so that our digestive system is, working properly. And so it's a very important piece of our diet when we're talking about addressing the obesity epidemic. But it also has a lot of heart health implications and diabetes, cholesterol. So a lot of these things, are impacted by the amount of fiber that we're eating in our diet. So, we talked about this before. Grains are one of our favorite topics. So, whole grains are a really good source of fiber, and our fruits and vegetables. And we know that a lot of us are probably not getting as many as we should be getting. And there's many reasons. So, sometimes, a lot of people tell me that it's just not affordable. A lot of the things that we should be eating are a little costlier than the other stuff that's highly processed and not as good for us. But fruits and vegetables and whole grains are really good sources of fiber. So we really want to make sure that the American public is getting more of that. What's a whole grain? Yeah. And we've gone through this before. Maybe I
should have a quiz every show on this because we go through it every time. But I remember whole grain is composed of the three parts of this plant essentially, and we have the germ, the endosperm, and the bran.
There you go.
All right, got it. I didn't look on the other side. I got the answer on this other paper.
I love it.
I ain't look.
I love it. So after a few segments of talking about whole grains,
yes,
Maurice has got it.
I got something out of it.
So that's the whole grain, is that it is the whole grain, the whole part of the grain, all the parts. And that outer part, that outer shell, that bran, is that really fibrous looking, almost like hairy looking, for lack of a better word, portion of the fiber or of the grain. And so when they sort of process that up and put that into our wheat products or grain products, that's where the fiber comes from, is that outer part. And the food industry is really doing a lot of neat things to include that in our food system and make it more palatable.
Got it.
I mean, I don't know if you remember when you were growing up, pasta, whole wheat pasta was just such a foreign thing, and the ones that we had available, the few that were available, tasted like cardboard. Do you remember that?
Okay. You're okay.
So we've definitely made some strides as far as that's concerned, trying to get more fiber, more whole grain into the American food system, while making it more palatable, because if people are not going to consume it, if it tastes terrible, feels terrible, people don't want to buy that or eat it. So they're doing things to make it a little bit more appealing to the American public. When you're talking about food labeling, it's really important to look at not only the fiber content, but also, reading some of the other parts of the label. So aside from the nutrition facts label, we have all sorts of messages on the front of the label, the front of the package, like 100% whole grain.
I was going to ask that.
There you go. So,
whole grain.
Yes, exactly. And so, it may say whole wheat, but it has to say that it's 100% whole wheat. There's a lot of keywords, and, we were talking at the beginning in the first segment about how the current labeling can be misleading, and it's not necessarily intentional, but, a lot of times these labels can be very deceptive. So, you just have to be aware of what these things mean. And,
true story.
If it says wheat or says whole wheat, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all whole wheat. It's got to be 100% whole wheat to be whole wheat. But again, as a nutritionist, I always tell people that, moving in the direction that you want to go is always better than not doing it at all. So we just want to get people to eat more whole wheat. And if if their grain products are, whole grain. So if their grain products are not 100% whole grain or whole wheat, that's okay. We just want you to get more of it. So, try to choose foods that when you read the label, they say that they have a whole grain in them. That's a good first step so that you're getting more fiber in your diet. And the grains tend to be a little bit more affordable as well than the fruits and vegetables. So if you're not a huge fruit and vegetable person, I'm not saying don't try to eat more fruits and vegetables. Definitely try, but whole grains is a good way, to get more fiber in your diet. It's a good place to start.
Wow, man. I mean, looking at it now, this is confusing, and I see why it can be difficult for people to incorporate this into their diet, because you see this all the time in the supermarket. Foods labeled multi-grain, stone ground, 100% wheat, as you said, 7 grain or 15 grain. And I'm like, 15, I'm about a 15 grain because I'm getting double the 7 grain. Like, I'm getting double the amount of grains, but you might not be getting any of the real fiber because it's not a whole grain, or extra fiber because it's not whole grain.
Right, yeah. I mean, that actually just means that there's 15 different kinds of grains in there and not, 15 times the fiber. So, it's really, ultimately the important part about that is reading the nutrition facts portion and finding how much fiber is in that product. So that's really what it's about. But, when we're talking about, bringing it back to the basics, there are a lot of grains that people are not necessarily familiar with. Or maybe they are. They're eating them and they didn't know they were a whole grain. So there's a lot of grains out there that are now in our food system that were not available before, and they're whole grain. So, I can go through a whole list of them. Bulgur, which is cracked wheat. It's a delicious grain, and it's very nutty. They make it a lot in Mediterranean dishes. But this is what you would see like in tabbouleh. If you've ever had tabbouleh, it's a delicious dish.
It is delicious.
And that's what they make it out of. And bulgur is a whole grain. Also, like oatmeal, oats, that's a whole grain, and it has a lot of what we call insoluble fiber and also soluble fiber. So you've got the two kinds, and that gives you really double the benefits. One of them helps move things through your system and pull fat out of your system, and the other, sort of expands and gets sort of gel-like, and that also has tremendous cholesterol-lowering implications. So when you read the front of the oatmeal container, you see that all the time, that helps lower cholesterol. Those claims are based in a lot of science that showed us that kind of fiber can have a tremendous impact on our heart health.
Interesting.
So there are a lot of grains out there that are quite yummy that we can maybe replace some of our rice dishes with. For instance, I know rice is really a very typical dish in the American cuisine, and try a new recipe. Try maybe replacing whatever rice recipe you have with one of these whole grains.
Yes. And does that include like steel cut oats? Because I know you got the oatmeal, but what about steel cut oats and rolled oats? Like,
right?
How are these better than regular oatmeal, and are these even whole grains? Okay.
Yeah, so those, that's all whole grain. The ones that are more processed are going to have less fiber than the others. You sort of, it's a physical process to manipulate the oats and change their shape and texture and all of that. So the more processed the oat is, the less fiber it's going to have. So when you get like the instant oatmeals, a lot of times you'll see that they might have some, less fiber in them than just, the standard old-fashioned, which I grew up with. My dad used to make oatmeal every morning, except for Sundays when he'd have waffles. But, oatmeal, and then he'd add some wheat germ in it, and he'd make himself a big old pot of that every morning. So I grew up eating oatmeal. Love it.
I actually have a question.
Sure.
How about chia seeds?
Oh, into the mic.
What about chia seeds? Is that something? That's another form of grain that's really good and high in fiber.
Right. So yeah, I mean they gelatinize too. So you see that, physically changing, kind of like when you see oatmeal when you're, cooking it, it gets this sort of gel-like quality to it, and that has, the similar impact on your heart health as oatmeal does. So yeah, chia seeds are very good for you. And do you have any recommendations how you add them into your diet?
Yeah, I put them in my oatmeal. I sprinkle it in my yogurt, and I have like a little Greek yogurt in my
Smoothies. I throw it in my smoothies.
Love
and
it.
blend it up.
Love it.
And it is delicious, ladies and gentlemen.
Even in your
I'm telling you.
salad.
And
Yes.
you get a bunch of stuff with that too. You get the iron, you get a little extra protein. So definitely something to be on the lookout, man. Shout out to chia seeds.
There you go. You see?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Health in Harlem on WHCR 90.3 FM New York. We're going to take our last break for the evening, man. That means that we're winding down, but we will be back with more wonderful information for you, so that you can improve your nutrition. That is our goal for tonight, to inform you on how to improve your nutrition, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Health in Harlem. Remember, you can call us at 212-650-6903 if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about tonight's show. That's 212-650-6903. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Divas Beauty Salon has moved. Divas Beauty Salon, a team of professional Dominican hairstylists with more than 10 years of experience in Harlem, has moved to the Bronx. Recently renovated for your convenience and better service, the salon offers a full range of services, including wash and sets, wash and blow dry, relaxers with deep conditioning, touch-ups, semi and permanent color, haircuts, and more. Divas Beauty Salon, located at 670 East 161st Street between Codwell and Trinity Avenues in the Bronx. Open 7 days a week for your convenience, Monday through Saturday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. For more information, call 718-292-0055. That's 718-292-0055. Remember, at Divas Beauty Salon, we value your time. We're not here to waste it.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome back to the one and only Health in Harlem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maurice Selby. And this is Sean Shivers. No, it's not Sean Shivers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, man. My man is not here. He's sick tonight. But we love Sean, and we give him a shout out. Always a member of the Health in Harlem family. But tonight we have Miss Vanessa Sawyer. She is serving as the co-host for tonight. And we're talking about how you can improve your nutrition, ladies and gentlemen. And we're talking about the wonderful changes that are taking place all around us to make it easier to do this. And as we begin to wrap up the show, though, we're going to just give you some tips that you can do, strategies you can employ in everyday life, so that you can improve your nutrition. And we know that sometimes you're going to fall off and you might eat that cheesesteak like I did last night. I had to. It was calling me
you.
And it was right there, and it was just the right price. So I ate it. But I was on my game this morning with the smoothie and the oatmeal. I got my whole grains. I had my fiber in the smoothie, fresh fruit smoothie, with a little bit of yogurt, some milk with the chia seeds, and I went in. I recovered. So this is something that we can do, ladies and gentlemen. There are things that we can do every day to make sure that we can do the right things for ourselves.
I love it.
So let's get into that. And my girlfriend is actually another guest on tonight's show. Christine Van Horn, ladies and gentlemen, making her radio debut. And tell us about you. She is a working woman in New York City. I guess you can say just like the rest of us, right? We're all pretty common in here. We're everyday people. So what are your everyday strategies, Christine, in terms of eating healthy and doing the right thing for yourself?
I really try to plan my meals out. I don't always achieve it, but I really try making eggs in the morning, at least boiled eggs and oatmeal with my chia seed in it, traveling with my nuts, packing lunch so I can control what I eat. Because I work in a catering kitchen too.
Oh, that's so tempting.
Pastries,
Temptation Island.
Cookies, bread. I don't buy white bread at home, but when I'm at work, it's just it's calling my name.
Oh boy.
So it's just, I have to pack my own lunch.
So you said planning. I think that's a key thing that we can sort of generalize, and that means a lot of different things. It's not just planning out, I'm going to have this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, because we know situations arise and it's not always easy to follow those plans. But the strategies, I like the way you said that you carry certain things with you so that when you see that cheesesteak spot like I did last night, if I had some trail mix in my pocket, I might not have succumbed to the temptation because I could have said, I got the trail mix. I'm going to reach for the trail mix now, eat it until I get home. I would have been safe.
I love that.
So carrying certain items, food items on you, fresh fruit.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of trail mix. I think it is the ultimate snack, the ultimate study snack, especially because you have such a nice amount of protein. And for a very small serving size, you can get a nice not whopping dose of calories, but you can get enough to sustain you until you can get to your next meal.
There you go.
So that becomes a big deal. So anything that you have, Vanessa, that you do on a daily basis to make sure you stay on track?
I think not necessarily a daily basis, but I'm definitely a planner as well. And I have my go-to groceries. So when I go to the grocery store, I typically get things that I know are going to be good for me. But I've been living this way for a really long time. So I enjoy food that's good for me. So when I go to the grocery store, the larger ones stay on the perimeter. Try to go places that have more of those whole foods. So the way that we used to eat back in the 1960s when the nutrition facts label was created, things from scratch. And then, there are a lot of things out there that, help us sort of prepare food very quickly, healthy food very quickly. So, like the little baby carrots. Every time anything that I know is healthy for me and that I like is on sale, I look for those things. So, I go through the fruit and vegetable aisle and whatever's on sale, I stock up on it. I just got a whole bunch of bags of baby carrots the other day, and that's a great snack as well. So you can take that to the office, keep it on you. They hold pretty well. Or, when I'm cooking dinner, when I get home, it's like sometimes you don't want to prepare a healthy meal for yourself because you're hungry already.
True story.
So I'll just snack on carrots while I'm cooking. There you go. So it's things like that. But going to the grocery store and being armed and ready when you're at the house, that's important to me. So I always try to get things that are good for me.
That's what's up.
I always get my yogurts. I'm not a big milk person, so but as adults, it's extremely important for us still to get that calcium and vitamin D to maintain our bone density. And I'm a smaller person. Petite women, a petite frame is more susceptible to osteoporosis. So I have to particularly be interested in my calcium and vitamin D. So I'll definitely go through that yogurt and cheese aisle and load up on that as well. Always the, lower fat ones, but, even fat and full fat in small quantities is okay. We do need some fat in our diet.
True story. It is essential, ladies and gentlemen. And, just some of the things that I do I'm into quick meals because I know, like, very busy person. We're all busy people, right? And I would say everyone in New York City is a busy person. You look around you, people gotta be somewhere all the time. And some of the things that I do, I get salads. Like, I'm a big salad guy because, one, it's nutritious, and it could be relatively inexpensive if you buy the right things. You can save a good amount of money, or you won't spend more than what you would spend on a lot of the processed stuff, or buying a salad during your lunch break. Going out and buying a salad, you pay a premium for them to prepare that for you, and you could have did it yourself in 5 minutes in the morning.
That's true.
And buying the prepared bagged salads, you can even buy them triple washed or pre-washed.
There you go.
And you throw that in there, you get some grape tomatoes, maybe the baby carrots like Vanessa mentioned, and they even have the little broccoli florets that are already cut. You can even get them frozen or fresh, and you dump that in there. That's 5 minutes.
There you go.
A lot of it is pre-washed. I like to wash it too myself, but you can dump that in there, and maybe you made a bunch of chicken on Sunday. I usually bake about 5 to 6 pieces that'll carry me through the week, and I just throw that in there, chop it up microwave it, chop it up real fast, throw it in, and boom, I got a salad, full-fledged salad, and ready to go, ready to hit the road in the morning. I think another big investment to make is to buy a lunch bag too. Buy a lunch bag because then you're forced to use it. That's one of the best investments that I've made in recent years, I would say.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to jumpstart your salad, use kale. Also,
I love kale.
Instead of just iceberg lettuce,
Or spinach.
Spinach. I mean, spinach is good
Spinach
too,
is good.
but kale, you get so much more iron. Is that true?
Amazing. Kale is amazing.
And it's not that
seriously,
expensive.
It's like spinach, but I mean, you remember Popeye, he'd always eat the can of spinach
True story.
because that was seriously like the perfect vegetable, but kale is incredible, even more so, like you said. So definitely a lot of health benefits. If you're not into kale though, definitely try, to be a little adventurous. There's a lot of greens out there. Our food system is amazing today. We have so many things available to us. So, try something out, even if it's like a small bag of it. So if you don't care for it so much, you can maybe cook it. You can throw it into one of those beans and greens soups if you're not a big, raw green eater, because they can be a little bit bitter for some people. So,
True story.
That's a way to not let it go to waste.
And if you're afraid, like, oh, I don't know how to pick this fruit or vegetable, and then I don't know how to prepare it when I get home, this is the information age, ladies and gentlemen. They have apps that will tell you how to prepare a certain fruit, or how to pick it out in the supermarket to pick the nice one, the ripe one, and how to prepare it the right way. I learned how to do that with artichokes, full-blown artichokes, not just artichoke hearts.
Complicated.
They're very complicated,
Yes.
but they're very delicious if you know how to make them right.
Absolutely.
And this is something that we need to take advantage of. As we said, we have the nutrition facts at our disposal. That's information. We have the internet, and be careful, of course, what sources you use. But there's some very trusted resources that we can use. Livestrong.com. We have the Medscape. I mean, not Medscape. WebMD. All of these different organizations, different groups, mostly non-for-profit, that can actually help you out in terms of getting this information and doing the right thing for yourself. Right. So let's take advantage. And anything else as we wrap up? Anything else you want to add? Or what would you say is the most important message our listening audience should take home from tonight's show?
I think that I often encourage people to be informed consumers, just be armed. None of us want to be told exactly what to do. We want to have the information available to us and make our own decisions.
Yes.
That's the American thinker. We're very independent minded, and, there's a lot of information available for us to use if we're willing to use it. So, I'm very excited about this revamping of the label, and I would say to inform yourself, read as much as you can, pay attention to what you're buying and putting in your bodies. Your health is your wealth. So,
all right. Anything you want to add? A special guest.
I think
Christine
everything was
Van
said
Horn,
already.
everyone. Okay.
But just fruits and vegetables. It's
Fruits-
really in vegetables.
fruits and veggies.
Make sure
Oh.
you get some in.
And one more tip, man, you gotta see what I usually do too is I got my, you get your fresh fruits, you get your fresh veggies and stuff, but sometimes, that stuff runs out before you have a chance to go to the supermarket or order it. And that's another thing I meant to mention is that you got no excuse. You can't make it to the supermarket. We got a lot of companies nowadays that deliver it to your door,
Right.
and it's not that expensive.
That's true.
Just really quick though, get some frozen fruits and veggies.
Always.
And you can get some good deals, pretty large bags of frozen fruits, frozen vegetables that if you don't have the fresh stuff right there that you bought from the supermarket, you ran out, you can take some fresh fruit out, you put it in a Ziploc bag for a little bit and just put it under some warm water. In less than 10 minutes, it is thawed out and ready to eat. And sometimes I'll throw that in my yogurt. I use fresh frozen fruits for my smoothies, as opposed to the fresh stuff. I use that because I eat it whole right there. But for the smoothies, I use the frozen bananas. You can preserve your bananas in the freezer. Christine taught me this by peeling them,
That's
and then you
right.
put them in a bag and put them in the freezer. And those are my smoothie bananas. And then I got my cereal bananas outside. I got separate
I
types
love
of
that.
bananas. All right, so you can do these things, ladies and gentlemen. It
There you
is
go.
possible. Now, as we wrap up, I just want to make a quick announcement. This is a shout out to Urban Word Poetry. This is an organization here in New York City that exposes our youth to literature, poetry, and just freedom of expression through literature, through words, ladies and gentlemen. And they are actually having their championship poetry slam on April 12th at the Apollo Theater. So you can definitely check that out. Saturday, April 12th at 6 p.m. You can check this out online. This is Urban Word Poetry. Definitely look them up, ladies and gentlemen. I had the privilege of serving as a judge for this organization, for the poets, and I can tell you that they were very impressive. And we're talking about 13 to 21-year-olds. Actually, for this particular competition, it's 13 to 19 year olds, and they are like
Love it.
very young but very talented individuals. So shout out to them. We want to thank you very much, Vanessa, for joining us tonight. And always our pleasure to have you. Thank you very much,
you.
Christine, for joining in on the conversation. We
Thank you.
appreciate your input as well. And we also want to give a shout out to Sean Shivers. He will be here next week, thank God. And we also want to thank you, the listening audience, for tuning into Health in Harlem. We couldn't have a show without you. And thank you, Valerie Wright, as well. She is our
Thank you,
producer.
Valerie.
Always got to thank Valerie. This show is dedicated to the memory of Miss Gloria Thomas. Harlem, take care of yourself.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York. WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Hi, I'm Vinny B of the Vinny B Showcase. Tune in every Thursday from 8 to 12 midnight for some solid cultural roots music and some sweet lovers rock. Also, informative interviews, and giveaways. Right here on the Vinny B Showcase every Thursday, 8 through 12 midnight on WHCR 90.3 FM. Peace.
Tougher than rock. Said I'm black. I'm tougher than rock. Oh, wisdom, you got to have it, yeah. Oh, wisdom, whoa, yeah. Alright. Rise up in spite. Don't be shy. With love in your arms. You got to be conscious. You got to be righteous. Can't you see the sign of the time we're living in? Got to use it, yeah. Every day. It's what we need today. Whoa. You got to use it, yeah. Every day. It's what we need today. Yeah. Wisdom and knowledge will guide you through. Don't you be the devil tool. No, you can't guide a people without a vision. You shall surely go astray.